Hello students, myself is Parminder Singh from Prab Kripa classes. Our today's topic is letter writing. First of all, we should understand what is the meaning of letter. Letter is a written message conveyed from one person to another, generally via post. Purpose of letter is to convey information in the written form. Next point is, why do we write letters? Exchanging letters through post has taken a backseat with the advent of modern technology. But the communication through letters still persists both in offices as well as personal lives. Sometimes we have to send an application to the school principal for grant of leave, or we may have to write to the principal for issuance of character certificate or remission of fine, or in our general life, sometime we have to make complaint to the public authorities about some problem being faced by us, or we have to give response to a letter, or we may have to write a letter to the editor regarding some problem being faced. Moreover, while we are as students, we may have to write letter in the exam about on various topics. So there is a lot of importance of letters in our life. Every one of us should be familiar how to write a letter. Only a well written letter has the best chance of accomplishing its purpose. Letter reflects the character as well as the communication skill of the writer. If while writing the letter you are not able to explain yourself what you want to say, it will adversely affect the image of the writer. Next question arises, what type of letter we should write? There are no hard and fast rules. Letter writing format depends on your audience. It depends on the type, whether you want to make complaint against someone, whether you are writing to a public authority or you are writing to a your friend or relative. If you are writing a letter to your friend or your close relative, you will write the letter in a very casual form. That letter may be in the form of a email, or the letter may be handwritten. However, when we are writing to the principal or to a editor or for business purpose, usually a typed format letter is most appropriate choice, because sometime our handwritten letter may not be readable by the other person. Now the question arises, what are the various types of letters? There are two types of letters. First is formal letter and the second is informal letter. Now we should understand the difference between formal and informal letter. Now first question is formal letter. Formal letters are written in a prescribed format. That is, there is a format which we have to follow while writing a formal letter. While in the case of informal letter, these letters are also known as personal letters. There is no particular format which we have to follow while writing an informal letter. The format is flexible in case of informal letter. Formal letters are written in a formal way or in a professional way. On the other side, informal letters are written in a friendly and casual way. Next, formal letters are used for official purpose or for business purpose, and the purpose may be we may have to write a letter to the bank manager for issuance of checkbook, for ATM of card, for the issuance of ATM card, or we may have to uh, state that ATM card has been misplaced or checkbook has been misplaced, or we may have to write to the school principal for remission of fine, for sick leave, for issuance of transfer certificate, for issuance of character certificate, or some other purpose. Next, we may have to write a letter to the police commissioner regarding the theft of our motorcycle, our car, or our mobile phone has been misplaced or some other purpose. In our while we are running an office, we may have also to issue a letter to an employee, or while in public life we may be facing many problems. There may be a very uh, the neighbors may be using loudspeakers in a very high tone that is causing annoyance to you, or is a road on your in your locality which needs repair. You may write the letter to the newspaper editor to draw the attention of the public authorities for repair of the road or some other purpose. Or sometimes we may also have to write to various other public authorities for various purposes, such as when our electricity bill is on the higher side, or the water scarcity problem is there, or some other purpose. So whenever we are to write a formal letter, we have to follow a particular format. We will discuss the same next. Now we come to the informal letter. Informal letters are used for communication with friends, relatives, etc. Now, in these days, people have started using WhatsApp. So, the use of informal letters has decreased. However, there are chances that there may be a question in the examination regarding informal letter. What is the format of informal letter? Write an informal letter to your friend inviting him to the birthday party, or you may have to write a letter to your friend inviting him to visit your city in when there are holidays in the school. We might just write the name of our city on the top followed by date. In the case of informal letter, we are not to write our complete address in the informal letter. When we are writing a letter informally, we may only write only the city name followed by date. We will discuss the same in full in the next slide. We may or may not have a concrete reason for writing an informal letter. In the case of formal letter, there might be a proper reason why you are writing a letter to the principal or to the editor or the police commissioner. But when you are writing a letter to your friend or relative, there may or may not be any reason. You may just be inquiring about your good health, or you are just writing a letter for the sake of letter to inquire about his good health or inquire about his well-being. Now we will discuss what are the important tips of good letter writing. First is we should identify what is our audience and what is our purpose. On the basis of our audience, that is, if we are writing to our school principal, or to we are to write to the editor of a newspaper or to the police commissioner, we will use formal letter. However, if we are writing to our friend or relative, we will have to write informal letter. Next is clarity of the subject. When we are writing a formal letter, we should be very much clear in mind about the subject of the letter. Next, opening and closing of letters. Formal letters must open and close in a professional and respectful manner. Informal letter can be directly addressed to the person with greetings and end with a personal touch. Tone, language we should adopt. Request versus friendly. When we are writing a formal letter, we have to write the letter in a request form. Whereas when we are writing the informal letter, our approach is friendly or casual. Whether we are writing formal letter or informal letter, we should use polite words and civil language. Even when we are writing a complaint about someone to the public authority, or writing against someone to the editor of a newspaper, our words should be polite and respectful. Next, letter should be clear, brief, and to the point. This point is more relevant in the case of formal letter, because when we are writing to a principal or to the editor, they may be receiving hundreds of letters, as in the case of editor. They may not have time to read your whole letter. That is the main content of the letter. They may not be able to read. They will understand the same from the subject only. So we should try to be very clear and brief and to the point. If we write a very lengthy letter to the editor or the principal of the school or the commissioner of the police, they may not have time. They will just throw it away. So please try that the length of your letter should be brief, or the letter should be to the point. However, in the case of informal letter or personal letter, the length of the letter depends on the message and the relation with the recipient. Whether we are writing informal letter or formal letter, we should use simple language. We should not use slang language. What is slang language? Slang language means very informal language, or language which is peculiar to a particular group. Or when we use angry or abusive language, it is also called slang language. For example, killing me is a slang. This phrase is not to be taken literally. That is, in strict sense of words, we should not mean that kill me, my legs are killing me after that run. It would mean that your legs are hurting after that run. After that run. So BAE means before anyone else. This is also a slang language. By Felicia, this is also a slang language, which means a fast way to tell someone to go away. So whenever you are using slang language, the other person may or may not understand your letter. So it is better to use simple language, whether it is formal letter or informal letter. We may also tell you that whenever we are writing a letter, we make sometimes make mistakes in the use of English grammar. So we have already uploaded various videos on various topics in English, that is past tense, present tense, future tense, and most common mistakes in English grammar. We have also uploaded 33 applications and letters and the various important articles which are will be very useful in your daily life. Now we come to the main point. What are the various important tips for letter writing? We should use plain format, plain font. When we are writing a letter in a formal way, that is, we are writing formal letter and using computer, we should use plain font. If we are writing by hands, that is, letter is being written by hand, we should write neatly. Write neatly to avoid inconvenience to the reader. Use separate paragraphs to touch separate topics. Completeness of the message. Our letter should be complete in itself. Read the letter to which you need to respond. Sometimes you may receive a letter from someone and you may have to reply. So it is also important to read the letter twice or thrice so that you may understand what the other person wants to say and what type of reply you should given. Next point is proofread and spell check. When you have written a formal letter to someone, you are writing a formal letter and you have typed it on your computer, proofread it and spell check it on the screen. Then take print and go through the letter at least one more time, checking for errors. This is important as it is often easier to spot errors on a hard copy. Next point is signing of letter. If you are writing a formal letter to someone but you have not signed it, it means nothing. It then the person receiving your formal letter may or may not take cognizance of your letter. So before putting your letter in an envelope, sign above your typed name using blue or black ink. We will also have to sign the letter when we are sending an informal letter to our relative or friend. It is preferable preferred that there should not be any contraction in our letter. Do not use don't, does not, has not like contractions. Use full words. However, sometimes it is stated that in the case of informal letters, we may use some contractions, but it is suggested to use full words. Next, it is appropriate to refer to yourself as I and to the reader as you. When you are writing a letter, we should not write the reader is of the opinion. We should write I am of the opinion. If you are writing letter, do not say the reader will understand it. You will understand it. Write it as. Please do not use the words like writer for yourself and the reader to whom the letter is being sent. Thanks for watching. If you like our course, please spare some time to give a star rating to our course.